The ancient star dock bustled with activity of every possible kind as I slowly wove my way through the crowds to the dry dock. The smells of market food stalls mixing with the abnormally fresh air of this ancient station. I stopped at a tea stall to get a drink and looked up while I waited for it to be poured. It was incredible. The large blue giant star in the system, surrounded by billions of tons of starbase, multiple rings surrounding it, crisscrossing each other. A veritable basket weave of Starship-grade metal wrapped several times around this massive star. The inner ring, industry, solar paneling, drone works, machine industry, and everything needed to keep this station operational for millennia to come. The outer rings, farmland, perfect for growing any food at 10 times the harvest, at 1/10 of the time. Woven into itself like a basket or bird nest. 3 separate ring worlds, crisscrossing each other, creating the perfect conditions for any kind of habitation, the homes of billions. Then the largest ring, the rim ring as it's called, the one I'm currently standing in. A gigantic star system-sized dry dock, starship factory, and cargo hub. I was here because I had business with the dry dock. I had the funds, I wanted a new ship. I wanted to start a new cargo courier business. Good money for good work, and I wanted to try my luck at a new cargo ship. I finished my tea and headed to the dockyard. The crowds became denser as I noticed flashes of light and noises of gasping crowds. The dockyard was in use, I guess I had to be patient, but at least I could watch the spectacle. I reached the observation deck. Being among the tallest species in the galaxy, it was easy for me to look over the crowds and into the dockyard. Sounds of laughter and despair began to echo through the area as the odd abomination was carefully assembled in the dockyard. Its engines were backwards, its cockpit at a 90-degree angle, and its entire superstructure was built seemingly upside down. As if an infant with no experience or knowledge attempted to make a drawing of a spaceship it saw in a cartoon after the cartoon ship had hit a rock. It was still fully functional, of course, but the machinery got something crossed in the wires or something. The ship was effectively built backwards and upside down. I watched the poor sod who paid for this abomination laugh himself into a drunken stupor as he left the control station and started to consume alcohol. Truth be told, he would be okay. The council would seize the abomination of a ship and exchange it with one of equivalent value that would actually work. I looked into my own pocket, nervously twisting the small glass orb in my fingers. The machine control panel ejected an object, a small yellow glass orb, from its panel, and council officers took it and threw it into an incinerator. Mine was yellow, too. I knew I would be okay with a council reimbursement, but the humiliation from drawing a lemon, as the ancient Terrans would say, made me extremely nervous. I waited patiently for a while, sitting at the observation deck. Finally, my name appeared on the registry display board. Well, here goes something, I said to myself as I approached the console. I stood in front of the console and nervously reached into my pocket. I took a good look at the strangely off-color orb of glass. I won it in a raffle back home and had to save up for months to pay for the trip to get here. Whatever happened, I would at least be able to cover my expenses. If it's a lemon, I'll just give it to the council. If it's actually a good ship, well, it's the start of my new business. Hopefully. I carefully presented the tiny glass orb and a set of tiny metal arms appeared, sensing their prize. I put the orb in and prayed. The screen display told us all we wanted to know. System start. Initskanath. Checking registry. Registration confirmed. Type 2QFCC039. Generating seed. Seed number 2206E07Y339. Checking materials. All mats available. Construction start. Alarms blared, the klaxon sounded, and it began. I watched through the viewing port as my new ship started its assembly. Giant mechanical arms extended from ports in the dry dock, the empty space quickly filling with activity. The giant mechanical arms whizzed and whirred about frenetically as large metal boxes, just large shapes of cubes metal, were carefully put in place for the machines to use as scaffolding for the ship inside it. We could never see what was in those boxes. It was as if it was assembling a shell around it to make it a surprise. First, a tangle of cables roughly shaped like a ship, then bolted sheets of metal to cover it like a giant box. The dry dock began using the mechanical arms to grab crates of resources, plating, fuel, bolts, and welding rods, all manner of objects, and shoved them into hatches inside as a swarm of drones descended upon the box, entering through hatches to assemble the ship. The chorus of mechanical chiming and muffled noises of working machinery, coupled with the strangely coordinated beauty of hundreds of mechanical arms coordinating with unimaginable precision, was something to behold. I sat there watching. 10 minutes, then 20. It had never taken this long before. What was going on? Did I break it? Did it fail? The council members nearby and their security forces also watched with strange fascination as the ballet of machinery continued seemingly without end. Then parts started being removed from the scaffolding. What appeared to be bad welds or discarded components started being ejected out of the hatches, grabbed by drones and incinerated. Everyone watched with absurd fascination. 30 minutes. Then 40. The machines began to work faster and faster, but it still seemed to not be keeping up with the construction. 50 minutes. A solid hour. 1 full hour. The first time in history it had taken this long. Then suddenly, all at once, the strange, macabre dance of metal stopped. The mechanical arms painstakingly removed all the discarded debris. Drones disconnected attachment points for the giant box. Then all at once the box opened, revealing a massive, mile-long warship. The entire dockyard collectively gasped in shock and awe. The display appeared again and showed data. Construction complete. Version.x unit. Class Planetary Assault Carrier. Type Caliban pattern. Registration complete. Biometrics saved. Owner Reg Thrax Tharn Korb Clan Uluk. Quality legendary. Amount 1. Main reactor startup in it. Shield startup in it. Fuel and ammunition load sequence complete. Init test sequence. I looked at my name on the board. I looked down at the orb. The color from it had faded and it disintegrated into dust as I picked it up. A case came out of the underside containing my biometric data, an ID card, a security tag, and all credentials with my name and face on them. I looked at the ship's specifications now displayed. 1 mile in length, crew complement of up to 60 people with all systems automated by drones, droids, or mechs. 600,000-ton cargo capacity. Heavy point defense, broadside, and main batteries that would rival the Council's flagship. The full surprise came during the startup sequence as the dry dock tested the ship's functions and made sure it worked properly. The dry dock lurched slightly as the ship was grabbed by the mechanical arms as its engines, thrusters, and control mechanisms all fired at once at full power. This thing had enough tractive force to move the dry dock assembly in a ring world. Maybe a few microns, but still. The shield test started. A few defensive turrets were brought out and activated, firing test blasts at various targets on the ship's hull to check shield integrity. The shield held perfectly. The reactor then went to full power for 30 seconds. It produced 3 times more energy output than a Council battleship at full power. Then its weapons were tested. It fired a barrage of shells at a makeshift target. The target no longer existed. Force was measured in gigatons. That was more than a small fleet's worth of weaponry. Then I nearly cried at the beauty of it. The front top end of it opened up, revealing a hangar full of drones, droids, and remote craft controlled by the central AI. It had a hangar. The hangar. It was full. I had just acquired the equivalent of a ship used by emperors, and I had won it in a raffle. I was a farmer living in a backwater region of a backwater planet, and I now had a ship that could single-handedly rival empires. What? A docking arm extended, latching itself onto the door next to the panel. In a daze, as if it was all a dream, I wandered in. Jaw open so far I could almost hear it scraping against the ground. I walked in and a series of lights directed me towards the bridge. The interior was pristine, precisely crafted, perfectly arranged, and beautiful. Gold trim on floors and doors, lighting that adjusted to my own eyes, and every surface polished to an almost mirror shine. This ship was enormous. I could fit my entire home planet's harvest 20 times over in the cargo hold, and house in excessive comfort my entire village and then some in the crew quarters. I wandered around aimlessly at first and checked the ship before I headed to the bridge. This thing had full hydroponics bays, assembly plants to make basically anything and everything I could ever ask for, a full suite of elite-grade ore refineries, and the hangar. I counted them, 60 fighter, bomber, and transport-class ships, half of which were easily replaced drones. The noises were becoming more aggressive. The flashing lights directing me to the bridge were flashing more angrily. I followed the signs and flashing lights, finally reaching the bridge and sat in the captain's chair. Before I could say anything or do anything, I felt the ship shudder with energy as the FTL drive powered up. Before I could do anything about it, I was forced back into my seat by forces I never imagined and felt for a few seconds, flat as cardboard as the ship disappeared into light speed. The universe passed by in a matter of seconds. Then it suddenly stopped, flinging me forwards and clumsily depositing my aching body on the floor. I slowly stood up, world spinning, heart beating, and then I looked out the bridge window and voided my bowels in shock. Terran ships, tens of thousands of them. I was in a star system of tens of thousands of empty starships. The entire star system sat quiet with empty warships of Terran make and design, each one larger, more elaborate, or more advanced than the last. Then I saw it. It matched every single description of it in ancient texts and scriptures, data vaults, and everything we knew about it. Earth, Terra, homeworld of the ancient humans. Shining brightly in the distance was Sol, the yellow star, patches of ancient machinery still buzzing about calmly as they maintain what can only be described as a partial Dyson sphere. Before I could say anything further, a screen appeared. A human, an actual human appeared on the screen. Well, shit, it's an alien. Ha! That's hilarious, he said with a laugh. I just screamed and hid behind my chair. The mythical, magical ancient Terrans that built gig-huge star system-sized structures, had entire religions around them, and laid the foundations for the galaxy at large, were still alive, and one was talking to me. Wow, jumpy guy, ain't you? I'm gonna let you change your pants, okay? Then we talk. Come on, hurry up now, I ain't got all day. He barked with a chuckle. I shivered and cowered behind the seat for a bit, babbling incoherently as I peered over the chair. You Terran, I stammered. Yeah. And? I shuddered for a bit and just hid behind the seat. Well, what do you want? I want to know who you are, how you got here, and how in the blue blazing balls you managed to get one of our ships. That's what I want, he replied with a sly grin. I won it in a raw raffle. I got it from the Sea Council. I was terrified. The legend, the myth, the builders. An actual Terran, a real living human. Okay, calm thyself. I won't eat you. Contrary to popular belief, we don't eat aliens, even if they are tasty. It looks too fresh. How did you get that thing? He asked. I carefully climbed out of my hiding spot and into the chair and searched the archive. I pointed to where I got it in a picture of one of those orb things. What? You got it from the Gacha maker? He started to laugh, hysterically. He was laughing so hard he was gasping for breath and nearly falling out of his seat. Oh my God, what the hell? They're actually using that stupid thing. I sat there for a solid 10 minutes as he laughed at us, mocking us. I became less scared of him and more annoyed at him. My brow furrowed and I wondered what he was up to. Eventually, though, he stopped and finally paid attention. So, here's a history lesson for you, my alien buddy. That machine, the dry dock, that thing was built as a joke. Back in the day when that thing was built, the gaming economy became an embarrassing failure. For like the 50th time. So as a joke, we built that thing and made a bunch of CEOs, phone companies, and a bunch of others like casino owners and such. Essentially use it to show them how piss-poor they rigged the system against their customers. Each one was given 100 chances to build a functioning ship. If they failed those 100 chances, they would lose their licenses. It was hysterically funny. Giving them a taste of their own medicine. He said, Wait, hold on. You mean to tell me you built a machine that, using a random number generator, could build basically any ship conceivable, and the only reason you built it was to make a point about gambling? I said. Yep, pretty much. The whole ring world around that thing, though, wasn't a joke. Just that one dry dock was a joke. After that, we played with it for a while and got bored. Then moved on to building a black hole-powered supercomputer. That was fun. Before you ask, yes, it could in fact run Doom, he said with a strangely prideful smile. What's a Doom? And why would you want it to run? Never mind. Indeed. Now tell me about yourself, friend. Who are you and how'd you get all the way out here? He asked. Wait, why would you need to ask? You're scanning technology and archive tech. You are the Terrans, those who know all. Why would you need to ask? I bellowed. Hey, so I take it that privacy protection laws aren't a thing in your world, he replied with a smirk. Oh yeah, I forgot about those. You actually wrote them. Oops, I said. You're a silly one, aren't you? All right, well, your time in this dimension is running a bit short. Dimension! I'm in another universe, I screamed in terror. Well, yeah, duh. You think that ship has a hyperdrive? Oh, hell no, that's a dimensional refactoring drive. You think with all our tech we would just confine ourselves to just one reality? Police. I'm going to uninstall that one, though, and refit it with a new drive. Don't want you to catch up to us that fast just yet. You aren't ready for it. Hell, not even we were ready when we built that thing. Hoo boy, the traffic. Everyone, and I say everyone, wanted to get to the Catgirl dimension. It caused so many accidents. I swear to God, the human said and shuddered in discomfort. I just sat there, bewildered and scared as he pushed some buttons. His machines teleported my star drive out of its housing, then instantly teleported and activated the new one. It looked significantly less fancy, but it was still leagues above the rest of the galaxy. Done. I love this thing. Anyway, enjoy your new ship. And also, could you send the galaxy a message for me? Sent it to your onboard computer. There we go. Anyway, bye. Wait. I couldn't ask any more questions as I was once again forced into my seat and vanished into the ether. Seconds later, I reappeared out of a dimensional portal above my homeworld. Local security forces went into a full-blown panic. I quickly opened up every communications array I could and calmed everyone down. Several hours passed by as the transit authority made me do trial BNY paperwork to get my new ship properly registered and inspected. I sat back in my pilot's seat reading rosters and looking for new people to help me start my new business, one which would quickly make me one of the richest men in the sector. Then I remembered the Terran sent me a file or message. I went through my ship's computer data files and found it. I opened that file. Every communication channel across the whole galaxy suddenly roared to life with the mocking laughter of a Terran. Every screen had his face, every speaker had his voice. Well, hello, Galaxy. That roar, that presence, that power, the capacity to spontaneously hack every single comms array in use everywhere, all at once, and broadcast perfectly across an entire empire. Sheer terror. Nothing but terror. They were, in fact, that ridiculously powerful. It's been a while, hasn't it? What? 5,000-6,000 years or what? So good to see home again. Anyway, just wanted to send you all a message from the Emperor of the Terran Republic. He loudly cleared his throat. We will be back, and we will be back soon. Make sure you have plenty of cheese, he said. This sent the galaxy into a state of absolute panic. The broadcast ended to a chorus of human laughter, and the factories, dormant for millennia, suddenly roared to life. The Dyson spheres, dormant or broken, restarted their systems. Gigastructures that previously could never be made functional suddenly roared to life and began producing Terran equipment, vehicles, ships, and goods. The panic didn't end. We calmed down enough to get back to work. But we never stopped panicking.